life. Unless you say, this is enough, this money-making life will never end.
Ken Honda. Today, we're exploring the true meaning of wealth with someone who's been transforming lives for the past 25 years. After surveying over 12,000 self-made millionaires in Japan, Ken Honda has gained deep insights into how we can reshape our relationship with money.
In life, there are two things. You can go after your dreams, and at the same time, you can satisfy with what you got. A lot of happy people have special skills to enjoy what you got. As long as you enjoy, you're the happy person. If you mess up with money, you could have your whole entire family killed. I've seen a lot of happy people who have money and then they seem to enjoy life.
It's not just about material abundance, it's about authentic connection, purpose, and joy.
In this episode, Ken Honda shares the wisdom passed down from mentors and his personal journey to understanding that true wealth goes far beyond finances. Let's dive into this inspiring conversation.
I've seen the most intelligent people on earth make most stupid mistakes emotionally, and then they end up losing everything. Don't go for a billionaire. A lot of billionaires, they don't have the right balance in life, emotionally and mentally. So if you want to have a good life, I think having little money is enough.
Welcome to Success Story. I'm your host, Scott Clary. The Success Story podcast is part of the HubSpot podcast network. I am a huge fan of HubSpot because they support entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs, founders, executives listen to this show. And for entrepreneurs that are trying to build, I have a question for you. Does it feel like your teams are getting pulled in a million different directions when everyone's digging in on different projects with different platforms in different places? It can be tough to stay focused on a common goal, and that throws a wrench into things. That's why HubSpot brings everything your team needs into one easy to use and easy to love customer platform. With it, they have everything they need to scale the business at their fingertips. So your marketers can write blog posts in a snap with AI and build better leads with in-depth campaigns. Sales can build connections and close deals faster with tracking tools and real-time performance insights. Service can get a hand from AI-powered chatbots for better support and more 5-star reviews. And everyone can deliver killer results and grow revenue faster than ever before. Because when your teams work better, your business grows faster. Visit HubSpot.com to get started for free today. Ken, obviously very grateful for you to jump on and chat. You have written how many books now? When I looked, there was a point in time when you had written over 50 books. I think you've written several more since then. How many books have you written on money, on wealth?
It keeps popping out. This came out last month. So I keep producing books. This is my healthy addiction. So
it's a very good addiction. And I think people appreciate it because I would say that over the past 3 years, every time you speak about the global climate, finance, recession, it feels like it's just getting worse and worse and worse, but it's been getting progressively worse for now 3 years, now 4 years. And it almost seems like this is just a constant state that we live in. And it's a state of fear and panic and stress and anxiety. So your message is very optimistic. It's very hopeful. It's very much reframing how people look at money, at wealth, at happiness. So if you were going to speak to somebody who has gone through the worst 4 years of their life and they've lost their business or they've been laid off, a variety of different things, what is the most important message that you would tell them?
Leave money aside. In life, a lot of things happen, and unfortunately, most of the things happen unexpectedly. So the things we hope it's going to go this way, they don't go that way. And unfortunately, our life is like that. We want it to be like a lawyer or doctor or entrepreneur, but after a few tries, it doesn't go that way, and then we get depressed. So money is like that too. You just invest in money. You invest your precious money in something in hope that it's going to turn out well, and then you end up losing everything. and the work is the same thing, relationship is the same thing. So our life is paved with our expectations and also despair, because what we expect doesn't usually come out as what we want. So in life, there are two things. You can go after your dreams, and at the same time, you can satisfy with what you got. Otherwise, you keep failing, you keep feeling miserable because things don't turn out the way it should. But there's this good news that wherever we end up, we can still satisfy ourselves with what we got. Because a lot of happy people have special skills to enjoy what you got. This could be coffee, this could be herb tea, this could be something, just plain water. But as long as you enjoy, you're the happy person. So you learn to be happy is much, much more important than how much money you make, how much money you have, or what you do, and how successful you are.
Now, I think it's very important to tell a little bit of your story and how you got to the point where you not only internalize this concept of understanding what happiness truly is, but you now teach it and you help people change their own lens at which they look through. Because I know that you came from a type of family. Your dad was a very serious person. He was very successful. He had money, which some people don't even have. But even then, there was stress. There was stress in the household to a degree. Mm-hmm. So walk me through what led you down this path, because I think that you come from a very interesting perspective. Because I would say that somebody coming from a household that wasn't stressed financially, I wouldn't expect a child of that household to focus on changing the perspective of money because they already had it. So what was the set of circumstances that sort of pushed you down this road?
Thank you for asking, Scott. And my father was a very unique Japanese businessman who started teaching me about money because of his accounting background. He used to take me to the small shopping mall when I was 5 or 6 and ask me which one is making most money. And his teaching was very practical. And he wanted to teach me everything about money and business. So one day when I grow up, I will have enough. And then I'll have a good life. That was his wish. Because he lost his father after the war, and then when he was 12. So he had to go through without his father. So he was so happy to teach me anything so he could be a father to somebody. So, and he was a very happy guy when I was small. My brother, who's 2 years old, younger, doesn't have a good memory. But I had a lot of fun memories because my father was a joyous, happy singer. He wanted to be the next Elvis in Japan. He dressed white, he had the weird shaped guitars, electric, very loud. So I hated it when I was small. But we're a musical family. I was a singer, my brother, and my mom is a pianist, and we had all fun. But one day, when I came home from school, my father was crying like a baby, and my mother told me his best friend committed suicide. By then, I think I was 8 or 9 at the time, so I knew committing suicide, what it means. But what I didn't know is that my father's best friend killed the entire family of 4 and then committed suicide. It's called family suicide. Because of failing business, my father advised his best friend to file bankruptcy. To save the shame of bankruptcy, he killed the entire family of 4 and then committed suicide. But the thing is, my father prepared some money for the family. After filing bankruptcy, they could live on the money he's.
So your father was actually prepared to help the friend and step in.
Yes, but I don't know about your father, but Japanese guys of that generation, they don't talk much. So he didn't say that he was ready to help his friend. And he regretted so much about the fact for not telling him that he was ready to help. So when he was drunk, he said, I was going to tell you. I was going to tell you, as if I was his best friend. Wow. And then he said, I'm so sorry. And he cried like a baby. So he slipped into alcohol and also depression after that thing. And also my grandmother passed away too, which was the last blow of his life. So all I remembered is an abusive, sad, depressed man. But he had money. So we were okay financially. But I just made up my mind one day when I grow up, I want to have both money and happiness. That was the start of my quest for happiness, because I wanted to cure my father. And also I wanted to know what money is, because if you mess up with money, you could have your entire family killed. And also I've seen a lot of happy people who have money and then they seem to enjoy life. So I wanted to know the secret. So I started reading books about money, psychology, happiness, religion. So by the age 20, I was ready to start. So I started my own business, and I was successful enough so I could retire at the age 29. And for me, family was everything. So I took 4 years off of my life, and not like my father, right? I just wanted to protect my happy family.
Yeah.
So I just concentrated on child raising my daughter for 4 years. And about 3 years into semi-retirement, I got this vision of writing up something, which I did. And the essay became a booklet, and a booklet became a book. And the rest is a legend here.
The tons of books since, and the hundreds of thousands of people that you've helped, and for good reason too. It's such a message that resonates, because even since when that happened to your dad's friend, of course our relationship with money in most cases is not that extreme, especially in the West, but it is to a degree in some cases, but it's not gotten much better. Money is still so intrinsically tied to self-perception and self-worth. And yes, it's not a normal practice when you go bankrupt to kill yourself and your family, but it also happens in some cases where people kill themselves when they go bankrupt, or they lose someone money, or they make a bad investment. Why do we have this incredibly, for the majority of people, toxic relationship with money?
That's a good question, Scott. I think it's because it's tied up with our survival. A few hundred years ago, when we all farmers, we just grew our own food. But since we moved, many of us moved to the city, in after 1800, when the industrial revolution happened in UK. All the workers were moving to the city, and in a city, you have to pay for your food, pay for water, pay for a roof above your head. So you need money for survival. If you have your own land and if you grow your own food, you don't need money. But in a city, you need money to keep going. So I think money was tied up with survival in our head. So no money means no life. And so we get scared when we are fired, because that means like death, right? So
yeah, we can't provide, we can't live.
Yeah, you don't die instantly, right, on the spot, but gradually you lose money. You cannot pay for the food. You can pay for the house. You end up being on a homeless, and then in a cold weather, you die. That is a vision, right? Mm-hmm. So we are so scared of losing money. We are so scared that our bank account number goes down, because that means like a closer to death, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we are fearful of making mistakes, because if we keep making mistakes, we're going to get fired. We're going to lose job. Nobody is going to hire us if we are freelance, and then we're going to die. But anyway, we feel like we are so fearful and we are so worried that less money or no money equals death. That's why we think money is so important. So we are so afraid of making mistakes. We're so afraid of losing money.
Mm-hmm. Now, you teach this lesson over to people, but I'm very curious about in your life, because yes, you had the interest in money because it had such an important place in your life growing up, and you started to research it. But even if you started to research, you would probably be interested in it. You'd be interested in making it. You started a business at 20, you retired at 29 because there was some success, but your perception of money changed. What caused your perception of money to change? Just starting a business would not change your perception of money. In fact, going through what you went through with your dad and his friend, it would almost create this highly negative perception of money. So how did you have this sort of this awakening moment where you were like, money is not actually a bad thing, and my whole life is going to flip the script on how I perceive money?
Yes. I thought money was very negative, but once I started making money, I realized that, I was wrong. Money is fun. So
it is. It is fun.
Yeah. And in English, I heard the expression, I don't like it, I love it. That I'm learning English now. So, that's how I felt. So in my early 20s, I was making more money, and then I became suddenly very popular among men and women. A lot of people wanted to spend time with me, and I was just, oh my God, money! I thought money was bad, but money is good. And then I was addicted to making money, expanding my business.
Hey guys, Scott here. I just wanted to take a quick moment to say a heartfelt thanks to every single one of you. 6 years of this show, and it's really all because of you. Your listens, your support, your shares, it's what keeps this thing going. When I started, I had no idea how big this would get, how many lives we touch, the stories we share, the lessons that we learn together. It's truly humbling, and I believe that we're building something really special here, a community where no one has to reinvent the wheel. We're all in this together, learning and growing. And here's my ask. If you love this show, if it's made a difference for you, please share it with somebody who needs it. Tell a friend, post on social, whatever works. It's the best way to keep this thing going strong, bring on even better guests, and share more life-changing wisdom. And you can find us on all the spots. So you can go to successstorypodcast.com if you like listening to podcasts. If you like video, you can go to YouTube. It's youtube.com/c/Scott D. Clary, or the newsletter.scottdclary.com. Just spread the word. I'm eternally grateful for each and every one of you. Let's keep learning, let's keep growing, and let's keep making this world a little bit better together. All right, let's get back to the show, like many people are.
And then one day I realized, oh, wait a second, unless I just say when, this is enough, this is going to be dangerous. I sense that. Because one time I had this conversation with a very wealthy man who had a public company already. So I wanted to know, I was in my 20s, I wanted to know when he started feeling successful. Was that like when he was 25, or when he started business and the more money was pouring in, or when was that when he was 30, when he took his company to public? Think of Steve Jobs, when he invented Apple, he didn't feel he was successful. But after he took Apple public, probably he felt successful. That was the idea.
Yeah.
So I asked him this question, and I was so surprised when he said, he was thinking for a second, and then he said, I don't think I'm successful. And then, wait a minute, this guy has a big company with thousands of employees. Are you serious? I said, yeah, because I don't have a private jet. And his definition of success is that if you have a private jet or not, right? And Japan is a small country. You don't need a jet, even if you're successful, right? And then, oh, wait a second. And then later on, I met a man who had a private jet. And I asked the same question. And he said, no, I'm just a small potato. I feel so small whenever I go to the special terminal, right? And then look at my plane from my Mercedes. My plane is so small. It seats only 6 people. And here are all the other giant, jumbo jets with Arabian kings and billionaires. So mine is like a, bicycle. So I'm not wealthy. So unless you say this is enough, this money-making life will never end.
You had a mentor at one point, and I don't know if it's one of the individuals that you mentioned, and let me know if it was, but this mentor told you when you spoke to him about money, he had told you the first thing about money is to not focus on money or something along the lines of that.
Yes.
Explain what that means. Help the listeners understand and maybe give some context as to who this person is and why he would give you this advice.
Yeah, so I asked my mentor in my early 20s, I want to be wealthy, give me a tip, I was right. And then I was expecting business tips or investment tips and all that. And he said, if you want to be wealthy, forget about money. And I said, what? If you forget about money, how can I be wealthy? And he is my Zen master. And his teaching was very Zen because he asked me more questions than I did. So his questions led me into thinking deeper and deeper and studying and understand about what life is all about. And so he shifted so many things in me. After he said, forget about money, I focused on what he meant by that. And then I realized that if you forget about money, you focus on what you do. You focus on what you can give to other people, your clients and your future customers. And if you focus truly on your customers and how to make them satisfied or entertain them or solve their problems, and then as a result, money will follow you. If you think of money, you try to cut the costs, you try to think that on your benefit. So you try to get profit from them. So the arrow goes this way for me. And what he meant was you have to focus, the arrow should be for you. And if you become for you person, people will just want to do business with you. But if the arrow goes for me, nobody wants to do anything with you because you always try to cut a good deal for you, not for your customers and friends.
You're self-serving as opposed to giving value, as opposed to giving more, and you don't expect anything in return.
Yes.
Just yes, I love this.
Yeah. So he said, you forget about money, but he didn't explain more. So I had to think.
But isn't that the best question though? The best questions force you to think. It's just the concept, you're known as one of the sort of the names you go by is the Zen Millionaire. Mm-hmm. Zen is obviously very important to you and very meaningful, and this whole framework of asking these thoughtful questions that require you to think deeper and go below the surface. If you would help somebody understand maybe why Zen is important, but more than Zen, the concept of asking questions to help you look at the world in a different way and maybe a better way. Mm-hmm. Maybe explain that and help people understand the questions they should be asking themselves that could unlock a different view towards money, towards wealth, towards success, even like an exercise somebody could do right now that is in a really dark place.
Right. So, every once in a while we fall into this dark place that nothing works, and then people around us seem to be very cold or indifferent or sometimes mean. It's because our world, our inner world, is made of anger, resentment, and frustration and that will be projected out. So when you are having a hard time or just struggling, you have to breathe in deep and then relax, and you can have a different life. But in order to do that, you have to take a look at your life in a totally different way. The reason why you have financial issues, for example, is that you're making too little and spending too much, and you're in the wrong place. But if you just find your own reserved seat, which means that if you find a good environment to lift you up, you will do well. You happen to be in a bad place at the bad timing. So you have to find who you are and what you're good at. And if you do more of what you're good at, you get promoted, you get paid well, and you get moved to a place where people respect you, love you, and appreciate you. So you have to find the right place for you. It takes time. Sometimes it takes a few years, but it's okay. Because life is a fun a trip or process to find your best place, find your best partner, find your best friends, and you can surround them with the people that you care about. So it doesn't really matter where you start. Entrance is not the most important place. Exit is very important. Where you end up is more important, because it doesn't really matter if you just junior high school dropout or Harvard graduate school graduate, because what you end up doing, it means a lot more. So focus on what you can give instead of what you have done or you haven't done.
I love that. That's very important. That's so important. And you speak actually about, you go a step further in terms of what we believe is true and how we look at the world when you go back to childhood and you speak about money trauma, because you speak about the perception of money and how basically it scarred us, and like the money wounds that we have as a child. So we have these money wounds as a child, and I would love for you to explain that. But then we also have the school we went to, the friends we have, the degree that we did or didn't get. We have all these things that impact how we see the world. And so many people have this hard time breaking out of, I would say, after 25 years old, our view of the world for most people doesn't change too much. That's what's the sad thing about it. They just, all these learned experiences make them see the world a certain way. And some people do the work and try and sort of break out of this shell that their parents have molded them into, and that, school, high school and university and college have molded them into. But a lot of people don't. And I think that that's what actually hurts a significant amount of people, and it really inhibits their potential. But this is besides the point. I want to go back to money wounds, money trauma, because the rest of what I'm talking about is really just like your experience professionally and academically that impacts how you perceive yourself. But what is this money trauma? Because I've never heard of this before, but I'm really excited to understand like what it means for the jobs I take on, the risks in terms of investment, the things that I spend money on, the companies I want to start. So how does this play into it?
So I remember whenever I hear word birthday present, I remember my 7th year birthday. I think I was thinking I'm already an adult, so I wanted to have a mountain bike. It's a very expensive, very stylish one, and I thought, yeah, it's cool. I'm grown up enough, and my parents said that's too expensive, and I was so hurt. I'm not worth it. They meant that's you're too early for that, and they're right, because I cut my forehead here and here because of the bike accident afterwards. After
Parents sometimes know best, but yeah.
Right. So, but at the time, I felt like I'm unworthy of this expensive gift. I'm a cheap boy, is what I thought. And then I was denied a few times. Later on, when I was 14, 15, there was this homestay program to LA, Los Angeles, or Melbourne in Australia. I wanted to learn English. But by then, my father was a heavily alcoholic. So I talked to my mother, and she said, okay, when your father is in the good mood, talk about your homestay. And I sighed, because in my home, that means never. My father is never in a good mood. So that means like, forget it, right? So I just had the brochure ready when I find my father is even in a little bit better mood. And when he's in good mood, I was going to pitch my homestay program for him. But it never happened. Because if I did, my father gets angry at me or my mom, and he could get abusive, right? So I still remember on the day that the airplane goes somewhere, my friends are going to either LA or Australia, and I was like, oh my God, I never felt jealousy for anything. Like, I was so jealous. I was gonna die. I was gonna burn in my jealousy. And by the way, last year, after 40 years, I landed on the soil of Australia, and I almost cried because my dreams of 40 years, of course I could go, but my trauma, like, whenever I heard Australia, my heart ached. So every one of us had some kind of funny trauma, sometimes big, like your parents are divorced because of money, and you're heavily scolded, or I know a person who was kidnapped for money, So a lot of money-related trauma happened in our childhood. And unless we feel the side effect, after effect of that, is when we want to buy something, this deep voice saying, you're too cheap, this is too expensive for you. When you want to start your own business, no, you can't make it because you didn't deserve a ballet lesson or a soccer lesson or a nice summer camp. Why such a failure can start a business and succeed? So subconsciously, all these traumas just stop you and limit you. And I struggle with that because later on, I wanted to study English and do something internationally, but it took me almost 40 years since I started thinking about that. So unless you heal your money trauma or money scars, we tend to limit ourselves in a small box.
You have tips on where people can even begin to start healing? Because that's some deep-rooted stuff. That's going back a very, very long ways.
Right. So you don't need to see your therapist. It's very simple if you're willing to do it. In your imagination, go back to your living room like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and just look at your parents in your own eyes, adult eyes, and then your parents are maybe younger than you are now. They're in their 20s or early 30s, right? So you can see your parents kind of like puzzled. We don't have the money, so to send a child to expensive summer school or ballet lessons or Disneyland or whatever. And then you can see they're so confused and they feel so shameful. So instead of just confronting their shame and anxiety around money, they turn it on to their kids and they made their little one a bad guy. So like, you're too expensive. What do you think we are made of? We're not made of money. Stuff like that, or even in a very upsetting tone. So you can see a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old boy or girl so hurt because of the comment that your young parent made. So you can go close to your boy or girl and say, it's okay, it's not your fault. It's just your parents didn't have money. So that's why they cannot afford it. But if they have the money, they'll be happy to give it to you. So it's not your fault. And they just hug your, a child, yourself many years ago, and then be with the boy, be with the girl, and then just give a blessing to the young parent, because they didn't know much about money. They were as confused, they're young. They may become a little smarter, but they didn't know much. So do you want to blame them, for being ignorant? And if you have compassion and love for them, you can send love to your parents as well. So by looking at your young parents as innocent, ignorant people, can you accept them as who they are? And if you can forgive them, just give them your blessing. And by doing that, you realize, okay, nothing wrong with me. I can start my own business. I can just invest in new things. I can get married. Nothing stops me. At least money doesn't stop me.
I just want to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's episode, Roadway. Moving can feel like the adult version of a temper tantrum. Stressful, chaotic, and yes, it might even involve tears. But Roadway moving transformed my moving experience. 2 moves, Fort Lauderdale to Miami, and then a storage unit in New York City. That's another story, to Miami as well. Roadway moving isn't just about getting your stuff from point A to point B. Their team, from their internal staff to the movers on site, treated my stuff, my belongings, like they were their own. And the best part is transparent pricing, clear communication every step of the way. There were no guessing games. With Roadway Moving, you're not just hiring a moving company, you're investing in peace of mind. It is one of the most stressful life events you can partake in. Trusting Roadway will be the best decision you've ever made. And they even offer personalized, like I mentioned before, on-demand storage solutions. So if you're planning a move, save yourself the stress and choose Roadway Moving, a true sanity saver. And make sure if you're using Roadway, use my code ScottD10 at roadwaymoving.com. Let them know you heard about them on this podcast. Go to roadwaymoving.com and use my code ScottD10. I just want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's episode, HubSpot. Now, HubSpot has an incredible podcast network. Success Story is part of it. And if you like Success Story, you're going to love other podcasts in their network. One of my favorites is iDigress. It's hosted by Troy Sandage. What Troy does exceptionally well is in under 30 minutes, he helps eliminate complexity, complications, confusion in your business. He talks about frameworks, strategies that really work to help you achieve scalable and sustainable success. So you need to go listen to iDigress, one of the most useful podcasts for entrepreneurs and founders, part of the HubSpot Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts.
You know what this does? This allows you to trust yourself. This allows you to understand the concept that your world is created and controlled by you versus external factors.
Right.
I love this a lot. I think this is what a lot of this unlocking a healthier attitude towards money, towards wealth is all about, because you understand that there's the religious tropes about money is the root of all evil. But I think really, if you believe that you are responsible for what happens in your life, then you start to understand that if I make money, I choose to use it the way that I want, and it can be for good. It could be for evil, but we're hoping it's for good. So I think that you remove other people's perception of what money is, what wealth is, what success is, and you build it yourself almost.
Yeah, so I'm so happy that I have helped millions of people through my books and YouTubes and all the other things. Because if you change just a little bit of how you look at the world and money, you see a totally different picture. And once money is fun for you, you have no emotional, mental block. And then your financial situation changes overnight, and you get promoted, you get a big raise, you get a big bonus, and I've seen all kinds of funny miracles. Your uncle just contacted you suddenly out of blue, after 15 years of no contact, and he's telling you I don't have kids, can I give to $50,000 now? Like, what?
That is why it's funny how the universe works like that. I would say that even more practically, for somebody that's listening to this and they are somebody who wants to make more money in their job and their career, like if you free up that mental space to think creatively, to focus on the work that you're doing, kind of like you said, like you will perform at a higher level. Like it's just a matter of fact. If you're not always thinking about the money and you're just pushing yourself into work because you love the work that you're doing, you will get so good. You will perform at a higher level. You will be focusing on the actual things in front of you versus these fake fears about money that you have in the back of your mind. And then in turn, you will actually progress and make more money and get the promotion, or the business will be successful because you focus on the right thing. It's the same thing as like when you manifest, when people talk about manifesting, because manifesting, what is it? Manifesting is just thinking about the thing that you want to accomplish, and every single day, all the actions you're taking throughout the day are in pursuit of that thing. If all you do every single day is just work towards being better, the money comes. The money always comes. It's just we focus on the money before we work on getting better, and that's why we never get the money. We just have to get ourselves out of this hamster wheel. Is this what you speak a lot about money EQ as well? Is this more or less what money EQ is, or is that another layer?
Yeah, there are 4 money EQ principles that I teach, with Mind Valley and other courses. Mm-hmm. So money EQ is almost like a curriculum by itself. A lot of teachers talk about money IQ, like Robert Kiyosaki, Suze Altman, and those teachers, they talk about money financial side, the tax code and business and marketing and investment. That is financial IQ, money IQ. Money EQ is a totally different thing. It's about how you relate with money, how healthy you are with money, because I've seen the most intelligent people on earth make most stupid mistakes emotionally, and then they end up losing everything. That the hedge fund smart guy or the cryptocurrency big guys, just they're going to jail because they are messed up emotionally, and then sometimes they do illegal things. Why? Because they don't have this healthy relationship. So they want to grow their business bigger and bigger, and they forgot about the law. So emotional intelligence is actually far more important than intelligence, money IQ. So I think you need to have a strong foundation of money emotional intelligence, and on that you can build an empire. Otherwise, you're just building a big building on the sand, which is not so stable.
And when you practice money EQ, does this mean like you're taking slower steps because you trust the process, so you're not trying to grow at all expenses? Is that more or less what this idea means? You're just being more thoughtful about everything?
Yes, I can quickly share.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So the first principle is receive well. Okay. That is the first principle. You have to be willing to receive. When you're a baby, you didn't come here to hunt. The first 7 years, you just receive. With business, with money, you receive. You receive clients, you receive trust, you receive money upfront. And then the second step is to appreciate. Appreciate the money coming in, because your clients chose you out of 30,000 other coaches. They chose you out of so many other options, and then they trusted you. There are so many reasons to appreciate your clients, the money for coming in. And the third step is to trust. This is a hard part. Trust the flow of money. The reason why we are so afraid of money is that we cannot trust that there will be a constant flow. So if you can trust the money flow, you have no problem emotionally. And the fourth step, the last step, is to share. If you are willing to share what you have, you realize that you have more than enough. This feeling of I have more than enough is abundant feeling, because even if you have $5 billion or $5 million in your bank account, if you feel like you need to have more, you need to make more, you cannot feel you're abundant. So the feeling that you can find even $5 in your pocket can make you feel a billionaire. So this feeling will come after you're willing to share what you have. So if you share what you have, if you share what you know, if you share who you are, if you share your heart, you are the most abundant, happy person. So if you can receive well, appreciate the money, trust the flow, share what you have a very good relationship with money. So once you have enough, just trust the flow, enjoy the flow. What you appreciate appreciates. So, and also at the same time, I'm not saying that money IQ is not important. And money IQ is very important. So it's almost like two wheels: money IQ, money EQ, and then you can have a very good drive.
You think that, I'm just thinking now, if you want to come from this place of abundance, would donating to charity or donating some money almost be like a psychological hack to force yourself to feel like you have enough if you for some reason don't?
Yes. So my prescription for people who have money worries is donate a dime or a dollar in a box right next to the register at the supermarket. Donate something. It could be a penny too. When you donate 10 cents, a dollar, and then that's not the end of the world. And that will send you the message, I have more than enough. So when you feel like you're a little afraid, donate some money. And if you are willing, do that with $10, $100, could be $1,000, whatever you donate. And then if you're not going bankrupt, hooray, you're a wealthy person.
I also am very curious because, even before we started recording, you're in Tokyo right now, I'm in the US, and there's a ton of cultural differences between the two cities, countries. And even if you look back at what happened with your dad's friend, there's a cultural difference there. So I'm sure there's tons of cultural differences about money and wealth between Japan and the US, but also in other parts of the world. What are some of the cultural differences, or best cultural practices for how to view wealth? Because in the US culture, it's very much tied to your sort of like your rank in society, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case with all cultures. I was listening to a couple podcasts ahead of time, and apparently in Japan, even speaking about your salary is much more common than it is in the US. In the US, all hush-hush, and they had to make laws to force companies in certain states like New York to disclose what they're paying people. So they weren't doing it, right? This is all very different from different parts of the world. So what are the best cultures or the best ways to look at money? Like, I mean, we're not going to fix the US, but maybe we can at least learn from a couple other countries.
Mm-hmm. So, everything is psychological and cultural. As you said, in Japan, money is not as much taboo as in North America. I was surprised that even your best friend, you don't talk about how much money you make to each other. Yeah. And in Japan, if you're best friend, you know everything, right? But the funny thing is, in Japan, even among your best friends, you don't talk about your sexual life as much. In America, even without asking, American friends are telling me all the things in detail, which kind of embarrassed me. So, like, if your Japanese friend asks you about how much money you make, you can ask them back, what's your sexual life these days? So, like, certain things are taboo.
Yeah.
Oh, which is fun, and then, why do I feel so secretive about how much money you make? or your sexual life, or any other things like we don't feel so much shame about how many times we go to the bathroom, how many times, number one, number two. Not many people feel shameful about that, even though we don't often talk about it in public. So I hope money can be such a open thing to talk about in the future, because there's nothing to be shameful about. Big people, tall people need to eat more, and then short people may not need to eat as much. And the money is the same thing. If you have a big container, you need to receive more money, and you need to spend more money. If your money container is small, you don't need to eat more or dispose more.
I want to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's episode, LinkedIn. Now, let me share a quick story. When I was looking to hire for my team, I needed someone who not only had the skills, but also fit our company culture. I turned to LinkedIn Jobs, and it made the process seamless. The quality of candidates I found was exceptional, and it saved me tons of time. Having quality candidates to interview is essential, and LinkedIn Jobs makes it incredibly easy to find them. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. It's a platform that connects you with professionals you won't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching but might be open to the perfect role. And did you know that 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites? If you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're missing these candidates. Plus, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours on LinkedIn. And they're always looking to make the process easier. They even launched a feature to help you write job descriptions. So if you're ready to find your next great hire, post your job for free at linkedin.com/excellence. That's linkedin.com/excellence to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. It's almost like sometimes the US is a little bit backwards, because I think we're talking about sex more and more and money less and less. So it's the exact opposite. Oh my goodness. You've interviewed like probably tens or hundreds of millionaires at this point, and probably several billionaires. What is maybe even tell me what a millionaire thinks of money versus even what a billionaire thinks of money versus what somebody who's making $50,000 or $60,000 per year thinks of money.
I think millionaire people, they have common sense, and billionaire people, they're a little bit crazy. They don't have this thing called a brake in your life.
Yeah.
Only accelerator. They don't have a good sense of risks, so they keep taking risks all the time. So a lot of billionaires are thinking you don't want to learn. It's almost like the TV shows. Don't do this at home. That's how I feel. So that's how I just teach people. Don't go for a billionaire. If you want to be happy and wealthy, you need to stay small. Not because a lot of billionaires, they don't have the right balance in life, emotionally and mentally. So if you want to have a good life, I think having little money is enough. So why do you want to be a billionaire? Because a lot of people want to have a power, recognition. And some people are destined to become a billionaire, but not all of us.
It's interesting because right now I'm just outside Miami, which is probably one of the most superficial cities in the world. Everybody has the boat, and everybody has the jet, and everybody's spending $1,000 per person when they go out for dinner. And it's wild to me, because it's gotten to the point in society, not in other parts of the world, it's nothing like this, but it's gotten to the point in society where making money isn't enough, but we pretend that we have money that we don't even have, which to me is just a wild concept. So then we actually go bankrupt, like renting out a fancy luxury car for the weekend, or we go bankrupt spending money on like a club. You know how much it costs? Okay, I'll give you a number, which is a wild number. This is a real number.
So if you go out to Live, which is the club in Miami, for New Year's Eve and probably some other holidays, there are tables which come with a bottle or 2 bottles or 3 bottles of liquor, which are probably like, $50 a bottle if you went to the liquor store max. And those tables cost you $50,000 for the evening.
Wow, 50. Whoa.
$50,000. So you want to talk about unhealthy relationship with money? This is what some people are dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So when you live in a society like that, what's the answer? Do you just move somewhere else? How do you not let yourself? How do you build the mental resistance to not fall into this keeping up with the Joneses attitude?
I think you should go out, see, other places. Like I was telling Scott, Tokyo is very safe. One of the safest cities among all the big cities. 5-year-old girl are just walking. She's walking on a street alone, and she goes on the subway. And when she's lost, she can grab any adults for directions. That's as safe as Tokyo. I dropped my wallet a few times, and all the time my wallet was found and reported to police. So they found my wallet, and it's okay. So, if you just visit a place like that, you see there's a whole new world out there. There are very honest people, dependent people, or
grounded people.
Yeah, grounded and generous people. If you go visit a town in Europe, you feel very different too. So if you want to go around different places, now you see like your town is very unique to some point, and then you can choose where to live. So if you don't have the money and time, you can do that with YouTube. There are so many YouTube videos to show people's lives. And then after looking at some videos, like, okay, this Miami, and we could be crazy. And then like, okay, so do I want to go to like Ohio or California? Where would I fit? So you have to go to a place where you fit well.
Yeah, and I think you have to do the work to understand what makes you happy and what you actually need in your life.
Right.
And there's reasons to live in a big city, but there's, in my opinion, there's a lot of people would be much happier if they figure out what actually means a lot to them and architect their life in a way that includes the places that you live and the people that you associate with, so that you are happy and you feel like you're a group of peers that don't judge you and aren't expecting things of you that you don't even care about. I think that's very important. I'm curious because I've seen different studies done. I think this is probably the most important question, and you probably have a lot of opinion on it. And maybe this will be like the one that we'll leave the audience with. I'll do a couple rapid fire after, but this is a very good question to sort of wrap up. I've seen studies done that after you make $70,000 or something like that, obviously it depends on the city, but there's an amount of money that you make, which I think 70 is a little bit light, but there's an amount of money you make. And after that, your life, you don't feel much happier. And I would actually say that it's probably a significant more amount than 70. I think there was a study done probably several years ago. But do you know what that amount is? Like, what's the amount that money like buys, quote unquote, buys happiness to a degree, but then after that you have diminishing returns? Is it, maybe it's 500,000 a year, maybe it's 100,000 a year, maybe it's $1 million a year, maybe it's way more than that. I don't know, but I'm curious if you have an opinion on that.
Yes, I mean it's up to where you live. If you live in New York, $50,000 is a peanuts, right? But if you live in a countryside, $50,000, you can have a comfortable life. So it depends on where you live and how you live. If you need like 4 cars, it's going to cost a lot. But if you have a very simple life, it will cost less. So that's why I said, find your own life. Otherwise, some life could cost so much. And to pay for the expenses, you have to work so hard. So some people love that kind of lifestyle. And if you have a family, that could be a different situation. So I cannot give you any certain number, but in my book, I talk about $300,000 is income that will give you enough of everything, and even $100,000 if you live in a local city, that would be enough. But it could be $1 million if you live in New York, or like if you want to have a housekeeper or driver, it adds up. So it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you. But you have to find how much is enough and when is enough. Otherwise, in life, there are so many other fun things that you can enjoy. So if you are too busy making money, you lose peace of mind, and also you lose opportunities to enjoy life. So you have to really watch out, especially if you're living in a big city, or if you're surrounded by highly efficient, successful people. Just look around. People don't need to live that way.
Yeah. Very, very wise, because what will happen is if you don't know what that number is and you don't think about it, there will be a period, there will be a point where you can make money without significantly more risk or work. But there will be a point where to get from 500K to $1 million per year, or $1 million to 5 million, and then endless, really, where you can end up, but you will have to put in more work or take on higher risk. It's impossible to scale past a certain point without risk or work, meaning leverage, investment, whatever it is. And I think that, to your point, a lot of people lose sight of that, and then their lives are high risk, high amount of work, broken relationships, stress, mental health degradation, physical health degradation, and they look back and they're like, what happened to me? I'm 3 wives later, my kids hate me, I'm over leveraged. Yeah, okay, fine, I have 5 houses, but literally I have no one who even wants to talk to me anymore. I would say that you probably should have paused maybe, 2 houses ago. So,
yeah.
Okay. If you were, well, actually, I'll ask you 2 rapid fire to close it out. Where can people connect with you? Which I feel like you're going to write another book in like the next month, but what is the book that you would like people to go read right now? What's the one thing that you think will change people's lives? You can drop a couple titles, actually, maybe pick your favorites. And where do people connect with you online?
Thank you. You can find all the information at kenhonda.com, K-E-N, Honda as in a car. Even I have to confess I drive Toyota, but
Oh no.
that's another thing. And then the book I have this is only one English book, Happy Money.
Okay.
So Happy Money is the only book. And then May of 24, I'll publish a book with Hay House, which is a novel. Hopefully you read that too. We haven't really decided the title, but it's about a wealthy grandfather who leaves 9 letters to his grandson. He donates all the money to charity, but instead he leaves 9 letters. So this grandson, 20-year-old boy, grabs his letters and then go on a trip. So, that is a novel. It's a best-selling novel in Japan. It's like Tuesdays with Maurice, so I hope...
Oh, I love that. And Hay House is huge, by the way. That's an enormous publisher. So that's going to be...
Yeah.
And that's in English, right? That will be in English?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Last 2 questions to close this out. First question is, you've had an incredible life, an incredible career. You changed the lives of millions at this point. What would be one lesson that you would tell your 20-year-old self? It could be about money, or it could just be about life, business, anything.
Life is fun. So just do whatever excites you the most and just enjoy every second of it.
That's a short but sweet, very important lesson. What would be, if you could define success, if you could define your version of success now, what does success mean to you professionally, but also what does success mean to you personally?
I think abundance is the freedom to do what you love, to do what you love at the place where you like, with whom you love, and at the right timing. So if you can do what you love, with whom you love, and wherever you like, and whenever you like. So that is a freedom.